Hello, hello! Let's talk about the new solo raid. Merciless Judge, a worse version of Gluttony. So, this boss is really not complicated. The main thing about this boss to understand is just electric comp. The last time we had an electric boss for solo raid was Christmas. It's been almost a year, dear lord. Um, so a few things have changed. Scarlet is back to being pretty solid in electric thanks to Trina. If you don't have Trina, you can still make use of her by just replacing Trina with Grave because we have that many burst 2s that Grave is not even being used on my mains rotation. Um, so there's Grave. That's a pretty solid option. Um, Also, Arcana Isabel. I'll talk about it once we're talking about Shotgun because I do not have um, Arcana and Isabel worked on because why work on them when the youth is coming, you know? Um, Probably my favorite design that they've done for this game, which is insane to say. Um, but I know pretty much how that works and what you should basically expect. Um, that said, I don't have it myself, so if there's something that's missing, I'm sorry. I'm not perfect when it comes down to this because, again, I don't have every electric unit worked on. But you have so many options now that you can basically work with a lot of things, basically, to make it work. So, let's talk about everything here, yeah? So, Scarlet. Please don't be an idiot. Put Scarlet on the most left spot. If you don't, Trina's buffs don't work. Okay? I'm going to make this clear because I've seen people genuinely use her in like the middle slot because with this team, you know, you're going to try to focus on using Scarlet a fair bit. There's a different alternation with this team so that Scarlet is basically all you're shooting with, basically to do QTEs faster and so on. We'll see once we get to my odds clears because they are a bit different. But yeah, if she's not in the leftmost spot, I believe Trina just doesn't work. Okay? So, at least her skill 2, which is where you get most of the damage, and more importantly, reload speed. Scarlet gets 80% reload speed if she's in the leftmost slot with resilience, which is super, super good for her. Okay, so now that we've mentioned this, um, Exia, the reason why she's used is very simple. If you use her, you'll usually use her with D. Look at it like this, right? You would usually use a flex DPS instead of Exia and use D as the burst one. But D is so bad nowadays. She doesn't really fit in any team. She's good to boost piercing damage. Look at what I'm using here. How many of those units have pierce? That's right, none of them. So let's just use her as a CDR unit for Exia because Exia can put 500 million damage on the table by herself. She is pretty, pretty solid. And she's actually a good burst one. She does more as a burst one than D does. As long as you're, you know, playing well and dealing with her stacks right, she should be doing well. Because if you're dealing with having the 5/5 stacks, she does damage taken debuff when she's bursting, which is really, really good. It just boosts the damage for everybody. So, yeah. Now, if you don't have Trina and you don't want to make it work like that, that's fine. You can just use Grave instead with exactly the same setup. It works fine. It's apparently roughly around the same. Like, I did this, so pay attention to the first team and pay attention to the fourth team. I swapped stuff around like this, and I got about 100 mil extra damage. Give or take, it might be about the same damage, right? But really, I just use Grave here. Everyone is Grave built in. I fucking hope you do. Trina is not exactly something everyone has, but, you know. If you, if you don't want to build Trina, but you can build Grave, and you have an okay Scarlet, this Scarlet is not even good, okay? This Scarlet has 40% elemental damage. It's not crazy. most people should have something along those lines if they've ever built Scarlet at all. She has 75 ammo, so there is that. But other than that, it's nothing too insane. Okay? So, this should be a bit more palatable, but yeah, so rest is just the electric team as expected. This is the usual Little Mermaid team. Now, if you don't have Maid Mast, you can just replace that with Mihara. If you don't have Exia Treasure, you can just replace that with Mihara and use D as the burst 1. It is worse, I believe, but it works, right? Mihara can be used like that. Raven can be used like that, which is why I use her like that here. Even though there's no part, she still does quite good damage. Other than that, I mean, that's like the main two you can use as units. You can also use Christmas Ludmilla because of the damage taken debuff she inflicts, which should be able to make the damage of other units better, which should make her an okay enough choice as a non-burst unit. It's not ideal, but like, let's say you don't have Treasure Exia and you don't have Maid Mast, this is something you can do. Okay? And yeah, Shotgun is just the usual team with Naga. Naga just makes the fight very brainless. However, you can use Arcana here instead of Naga. Then you put Isabel in here. You get rid of Soda because Soda becomes kind of irrelevant, and you go Soda. I think it's you either go Isabel Drake or Isabel Dorothy if you have a very good Dorothy, and then you put Dola in for the CDR, which is going to be kind of required. But yeah, if you do that, Isabel, with the shotgun team, you can actually do about 3 bill, if not even more than that. Isabel works really well in shotgun because of this. Now, keep in mind you won't have a healer if you do that, and that's the biggest problem because, yes, it's going to make the whole thing a lot worse. You're going to have to actually cover stuff. But yeah. This ended up with 14.7 build, West up 17th. I'm probably lower now. My alt did this. I still use Trina on this. I got Trina literally a week ago, so wahoo, just in time. Really, I just swapped stuff around. Like I put Litter and Raven here instead of having Exia and D. And then here I put Exia and D on this one instead. Because I figured, because there's more electric DPS, the attack buff that she provides to other electric makes more sense here. And I think it did a bit better. But, yeah. Obviously, I do my main first and then my ult, so I know what to expect, so it's a little easier for my ult. That team is very... you need to be careful with what you're doing. Unfortunately, so it's like the hardest team in here. Every team that you use Exia in is going to be the hardest team because you're going to have to upkeep the stacks at all time while also dealing with other stuff. Also, really strongly recommend having at least one unit with 7 ammo if you use this team. Not Exia. Exia does not want to have more max ammo. But if you have more max ammo on Ein, that's really good for the QTE section. And then here, if you wonder why this team is doing way worse than my ult, despite the fact that, well, I mean, I'm not using Maid Mast, so you might be thinking, it's because of Maid Mast. No, it's because my main has 60% elemental damage on Jill. This one has 23% elemental, and she's missing 2 overloads. Yeah. I could have waited a bit longer, so that I could have, you know, have full overloads, but I figured it's more important to get a guide out than me aching out an extra 200 million damage, right? Because at the end of the day, the way this work will stay the same. And then there's Shotgun here. Shotgun did a lot worse. If you wonder why, it's very simple. My Dorothy on my main is cracked. I don't understand how, but I somehow core 7 her in about 400 pulls. So, you know, 20% more stat do actually matter when it's your main DPS. But yeah. This one ended up at 14.1 bill, which is kind of surprising. My ult and my main are not usually this close to each other, especially since I don't have main mast. But here they are. My electric units are very good on my ult. My Scarlet is 80% elemental for one, so it does make a big difference. But yeah, let's talk about these now. So Exia Ada Ein. This is definitely the most frustrating one of the bunch, because you have to deal with some of the mechanics while also doing this. So, if you're used to how milk works and you have not played with Treasure Exia at all or in a while, it's very simple. You full charge, spam everything, and then you know you just repeat the process. The idea is the full charge is to upkeep your first stack. Spam shooting is to run out of ammo, which procs this second type of stack. This is important because if your stacks are up, you get more. You give attack to all the other electric units, and also more importantly, you inflict damage taken debuff whenever you're bursting, which is a pretty sizable number. I think it's about 24%. So it's just a 24% damage increase for the whole team. This matters a lot. It does quite a bit to push your stuff, and having 5 stack on Exia is super important because it's 160% attack, I believe, for herself. So if you have good elemental damage on her, you don't even care about attack roll for overloads for her. You just want elemental damage. Then she becomes really good, right? But she is pretty manual because you have to full charge spam, full charge spam, full charge spam. She is less annoying than Milk, but it can be a bit awkward, especially at the start because of the first QTE set. So, for the lasers, you can just face tank them. They do almost no damage, so it doesn't fucking matter. For the swings, if they are done toward Ada and Ein, you can ignore them. If they are targeting either D or Aid or Exia, you will have to cover them. Yeah, this is awkward, but yeah. So here I'm basically covering so that Aid basically doesn't get hurt. These attacks do almost no damage to your cover, so it's fine. If you are swapping characters, your Exia should be able to keep doing full charge at least. Manualing like this does a bit more damage. I just face tank these balls because they're mostly fine. Here, so this is the AoE. The AoE does a fuck ton of damage to your team, especially if you don't have any healer. I basically have healers, but only for 2 out of 5 characters here. So, when you see it scream and then there's like the gust of wind, you cover about right after. Because that's when the boss sweeps at the cover. Or at your units, depending. Also, yeah, I'm trying to be as thorough as I can with stacks. I think I dropped them once here, at one point, but this is, well, I dropped them there as well. So this is pretty simple. If you remember Harvester, this is a faster version of Harvester. Remember the order and then just shoot them in the order they spawned, basically, is as simple as it gets. Here, I kind of fucked up, but oh well. I should have bursted earlier. It is what it is. When you're in full burst, let's say you lose stacks, right? Spam shoot to get into burst if you're not in burst yet. If you're in burst, then just full charge shot, like, until you're at full stack again. Oh, by the way, very important about Ayn. She will suck to play if you don't have resilience on her. I mean, I expect most people to be running resilience on just about everything. Also, one thing about Scarlet, if she has like 60 or more ammo, Bastion. If she has less than 60, resilience. If you use Trina, resilience either way. Yeah, here I lost my stack because I didn't stick long enough. It's unfortunate, but oh well. I'm not perfect. This is pretty difficult to pay attention to everything while doing it. The boss is pretty simple, but, you know. Yeah, see, here I just face tank it with Ada. I don't care, the next time I'm bursting, I'm back to full HP anyway. But yeah, it's as simple as that. If you're careful, like you see here, 456 mil. My Exia just out DPS Ada. Though apparently Ada is currently bugged, so if they ever fix Ada, because I believe she only drops one bomb, one grenade every 2 seconds instead of every 1 second currently, for whatever reason, one on burst. So her damage is kind of nerfed as a result. She's probably gonna get fixed before the raid is over either way. That's just how it goes. It is what it is. It's annoying, but whatever. But yeah, 450 mil for what she does is pretty nice. And keep in mind, damage taken is a buff for everybody, not just her. So, yeah. I'm pretty sure D would improve your damage less, especially since she gives attack damage buff, and Aid already gives so much. Another thing of note is if you want to make more damage, something of note is that the first burst should be D's. I didn't do that here. But Exit needs to be fully stacked before she does the damage taken debuff. So, beforehand, D is a better burster, because you don't burst for anything, really, unless you're fully stacked. Next up is Rappy Mermaid Jill. So, honestly, like, outside of the first one, none of them are really hard. This one is only second in order of difficulty for me because there's no healer. You only have shields. But even then, your shields are more than enough usually to deal with stuff, which is pretty fucking telling. By the way, if you don't have Maid Mast, Mihara makes the most sense here because of Mermaid, of course. No surprise there. If you want a tip to remember when to burst with Maid Mast, it's very simple. Just count the bursts, and whenever you count 3, that's when you have to burst with Mast. That's what I do. I just count it out loud. It makes my life a lot easier, right? But yeah, this is super easy. I mean, you just basically shoot until it dies, kinda. But I mean, it's gluttony. Gluttony is kind of just lame like that. Oh no, the ball is of electricity. And by the way, yes, it does not matter here. If you have shields, you can just face tank it. So you can just focus on doing more damage. If you're using Maid Mast, however, just be careful, because if you're bursting with Maid Mast, you don't have shields, of course. It is what it is. This is like the fastest QT you can do. So if you can memorize the basically where to go, it matters a lot. Also, what the hell? Alright. My bad. I guess when I recorded here, it just froze at that place for some reason. So Jill shoots at a really weird pace, so if you struggle with doing the QT at a good time, it is a good idea to... What the fuck is happening? Okay. No, it's just Discord tweaking. Alright. It's a good idea to swap to Jill to just shoot at the target, especially because she has low ammo. Mine did not roll a single max ammo. Max ammo is not bad on her, by the way. I keep hearing people saying max ammo is horrible for her. No, it's actually pretty good, because at the end of the day, as long as she shoot the acid round once per 30 seconds, I believe, it's fine. The debuff lasts for 30 seconds. As long as she reloads once per 30 seconds, you're good. So, it's completely fine, right? But yeah, Jill shoot at a really weird pace. If you see you're low on ammo and the QT pops in, swap to Jill, and simply just click on each QT one by one. It's what I would suggest. But yeah, pretty simple. Yeah, here I tried to just drag it while shooting. Bad idea. It's genuinely better for you to just click on each circle one by one because of that. If you have enough ammo, it doesn't matter as much, but I really don't have much ammo. I have a lot of reload speed if I'm using main mast. It kind of just nullified the problem of having very low ammo, but, you know, I know it can be a bit of a problem. And yeah, as you can see, my Mihara's out DPSing Jill. Again, Jill is basically doesn't have a damn thing going on for her, so it is what it is. It is what it is. But, yeah, that's this team. Now for Team 3, the Scarlet Trina Helm team. This one is really simple. It's simple if you use Grave, it's simple if you use Trina. Trina will make it a little easier. Just because at the end of the day she constantly heals Scarlet. Just be careful if you are getting targeted by the slap. Scarlet needs to cover that because otherwise she will die most likely, so there's that. Scarlet can do every QT very easily, so it makes sense to try to control her. If you really want to do like how my main did with Exia and Scarlet on the same team, it can be a bit of a nightmare. If you see a QT with an elemental QT, swap to Scarlet to do it. It will save you time. But yeah, this is, again, very simple. It makes more sense to do it like this than on my main, if I'm being honest. If you are mid-Helm Burst, you do not give a fuck about who is getting slapped, who is getting attacked. Scarlet just heals it back up in seconds anyway. But yeah, for the most part, you will ignore every mechanic. I mean, just look at this. Who gives a shit? Scarlet is already back to full. There was no shield here. She just healed it back up that fast. It may sound dumb, but it just works. It's weird because it seems like they tried to do Merciless Judge and mix it with Providence in the way you're doing the QT and it falls down. I guess maybe more with Ultra makes sense. But yeah, I honestly don't know what happens if you fail the QTs because, I mean, I never have. I just did the fight and never failed the QTs. So I don't know if it really is bad. But yeah. And back to full. Yeah, it is really silly. Helm's healing is really good, and she's also a pretty solid DPS herself, even though she's used as a Vamp unit, right? I know Electric is a bit of a risky type of unit, especially with Scarlet, and Helm kind of completely fixes that problem. If you don't want to use Helm, it's a bit awkward. I think you can fit in Jill, because she still gets some buffs from Trina, but it's awkward, right? Because then you just lose on healing, unless you use Helm as like how Raven is used in this team, which can probably do fine, to be honest. As you can see, Raven still does really good damage even off burst. Like, Helm does 358, she does 429. This is my alls Raven. My mains Raven did like 560 mil in the same type of team. So just pointing this out because, again, I've said this many times, Raven is so good she can be used on neutral for a lot of players. If you have a decent Raven, it's so good to have. It's like having another Mihara. If there's part to be broken, she's even better. She's even better. Next up is Cinderella, and for some reason I've seen a lot of people do really bad with this team. Hearing people saying that, oh, 4-bill is the best they can do. I'm just going to come out and say it. If you are using Mari, okay, and when you see the gauge for full burst about to end, you're not reloading, taking advantage of Summer Anise's reload speed and reload cube, and then just setting up a full charge to spam the rest of the of your magazine on the boss to get to the next burst, you're fucking up this because it's super important. You're able to actually get 13 bursts pretty consistently if you do this. Okay, that's pretty important because say you lose a burst, you lose a Cinderella burst. If you lose 2 bursts, you lose the Maiden burst. That's really bad. So as you can see, like, I spam shoot, and then when I see there's like 1 second left, I reload in full charge, and then I just spam. Right? If you don't have the 1 max ammo on Mari, that's really difficult to do. It is possible, but genuinely, why wouldn't you do this? Like, get the max ammo, I mean. It is so good. Also, I started doing full charge spam shot because I got used to Axia and Milk. I'm sorry. But really, you can just spam shot normally. If you genuinely feel like you can get to the next full burst, and you need a little extra, swap to Maiden and spam shoot with her. Like, genuinely, I'm face tanking almost everything. It doesn't fucking matter. The only thing I don't face tank is this. Because it's pretty dangerous. Also, I got unlucky here. The boss targeted Mari. It is what it is. Just spam shot as much as you can, right? And then here, it's a bit annoying, but oh well. Here, the max ammo is really nice to have. Because, again, having 7 ammo is really nice to have. If you don't have enough ammo, you can finish it off with Summer Anise. Right? Because Summer Anise is just going to do the same thing. Cover, and back in. As you can see, I'm already at 11 charges. I don't think this was a perfect run. I almost did the same as my main, by the way, on this. Would probably have done about the same as my main if I didn't fuck up at the end. Here's the Maiden Burst. I should have covered a little later on this so that I could actually generate more burst. That's basically the main mistake I've done here. Or try to delay one of the water QTEs so that this just doesn't happen. You can do a little bit more damage that way. But yeah, 5.1 bill. Keep in mind, my overloads are not perfect. If I had perfect overloads, I'd be doing over 6 bill. So, there's that. And last up, shotguns. As I said, this is the team you would want to have Arcana plus Isabel. With either Dorothy or Drake with Dola as the final slot. If you're not sure about like how that works, you can just look at the leaderboards. I'm sure people in the top 10 are using Isabel. She's just really excellent. She is luckier than Scarlet because Isabel has access to Tove, and she also has access to Arcana, whereas Scarlet only has Trina, so it is a bit unfortunate, but it is what it is. This team is very simple. You'll see just how stupid Naga healing is. I kind of just don't really care about anything except maybe these if I'm low on health. But Naga heals you, and she also deals with your covers, so it becomes a non-issue for the most part. And you're going to see just how stupid it gets. Again, my shotguns on this account are not exactly as good as on my main, so there's that. But even then, it's just free. Like, I just face tank this. We tank those. I generally did it because I was wondering if I could. And yeah, sure enough, I can. It's really silly. Here, I fuck up the QTE a little. That's on me. I definitely could have done better if I didn't. As you can see, look at my health now. Does it look like I just face tanked an AoE? Not really. Here I had just a really bad time to reload, so I lost quite a bit of damage as well. Definitely would have broke 2 bill if it wasn't for that. I ended up covering with 2 people without trying. They just ran out of ammo at the right time. But yeah, we're all pretty healthy. The cover is completely fine. Like, this is brain dead. This is genuinely brain dead. As long as you have the units, just try it. I mean, what's the worst that can happen, right? If you have Arcana Isabel, of course you will want to use that over this. Because you should be able to hack out an extra 1 billion damage, I want to say, if your Isabel has decent overloads. But, you know. Yeah. I mean, this is very simple. Again. This is like one of the easiest soul rate we've ever had. It's not mechanically challenging. If you're using Arcana and Isabel, you will want to just simply cover the slaps the boss does. I don't know if you will care about the lasers. You will want to face tank the, not face tank, you will want to cover the big AoEs as well, and that's kind of it. The boss is not complicated. So, once again, if you want a reminder, this was my mains teams. And this was my alts teams. Oops. And yeah, hopefully this helps some. I know this is like the first electric raid in so long after all. I will most likely add Ada and Jill to the spreadsheet tonight. Just keep in mind, for your own sake, they're not that great. Ada is good, like actually good enough to build. Jill is unfortunate because I really like her RE5 skin, but she's not that good, unfortunately. But yeah, again, hopefully this helps some people, and yeah, see you on the next one. See ya.